on to Murakami. So I got my little spiel right here. I'll start off.
Right.
Let me grab the
Let's do it.
books. Where are they? Boom. So my wife introduced me to Murakami during the greener days of our relationship in The Gift of Norwegian Wood. This bad boy right here. Which I did like. I enjoyed the relationship and the romantic entanglements, and that it was from one of my future wives' favorite books. Then I gifted her Sputnik Sweetheart, which she didn't read, but I did, and generally liked the short novel. That was written from the perspective of a male narrator, but centers on the young aspiring female writer falls in love with a much older Korean woman. If my memory is correct, it's kind of nice. Like, it's a little bit sweet, and I like the narrative style. Then we bought a whole whack of his works, including this tome, IQ 84, and
Isn't it 1Q84? Isn't it 1Q84? That wasn't that.
1Q84. I haven't read it.
Yeah.
I haven't read it. It's several books. It's a brick. It's a tome. Listen to it.
We know God doesn't exist because God would never allow that book to be larger than his own. I mean, that's if we're talking about the Old Testament God, Murakami would have been swallowed by a crack in the earth by now for making a book that big.
We also
him
bought
and Tolstoy.
Yeah, Kafka by the Shore, which we read and we talked about. I haven't read this book, The Brick.
There's Kafka all over his stuff, all over his stories. By the way, Kafka.
And I didn't read that because I read Kafka by the Shore first and wasn't as infatuated as many others by the living, breathing, murdering Johnny Walker label come to life, or the spirit guide of Colonel Sanders, and flirts with the notion of incest between brother and sister and son and mother. And now we have Confessions of a Shinagawa Monkey, or as his narrator might call it, another meaningless statement. And Murakami might say it as well. He seems to, I feel bad digging into him because he seems like a nice guy. And
I'm sure he is. He is.
Yeah, and from the little interviews I've read by him, he writes about, he just writes about stuff he's interested in. And if he writes about classical music one more goddamn time, I swear to God, I'm going to kill him.
Well, it's better than what Nabokov always used to write about. I think.
What?
Just young girls. It wasn't just Lolita where he talked about this either.
No.
It's better to have as your obsession classical music,
I suppose.
Murakami
seems to see writing as a toy, which is fine, I guess. And that must add it's a whimsical character to his work. But when you see there's no meaning to the monkey in the story we just read,
bothers me.
And I can't get mad at him. I don't blame Murakami. I kind of blame those who read him, who celebrate him and publish him. The story is a man stays at a dilapidated inn in Gunma Prefecture where he meets a talking monkey who tells the man over beers in his room that he desires women and satiates his desires by stealing a part of
Human women.
Human women.
Yeah.
Years later, the writer speaks, because he's a writer, with a fetching woman who momentarily forgets her name, admits it, compelling him to write the story down and for us to read it, I guess. On this episode of Boozing Through the New Yorker, whenever I listen to a Bruckner symphony, I ponder the Shinagawa Monkey's personal life. Fuck, man!
I think I talked over you when you explained what the monkey does to satisfy his sexual fixation. I think I talked over you when you said that.
He steals a part of their name. He concentrates on a part of their name. He's got to steal a piece of ID, meditate on it, and then the women become disorientated and whatnot. What did you like about the story?
And they forget they both forget their names sometimes, and the monkey somehow is sated by this.
Somehow.
And somehow he does it. Somehow the monkey does it to be somehow, and the narrator even speculates that the Shinagawa monkey might not be the only creature that can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And he wonders if he can do it as well. I mean, it's just, I remember there was a line in Audition, which is one of my favorite directors, Miike Takashi. Perhaps his magnum opus, but certainly the one that's most well known to Western audiences. There's a scene where the ostensible protagonist and his buddy, who's in media, the protagonist is like, I'm very lonely,
Mm.
right? I need to find a woman. I'm very lonely, and his friend scoffs like, "You're Japanese. We're just lonely."
Uh-huh.
So ultimately, this thing, if it's about anything at all, it is about loneliness and the bizarre lengths that people will go to both describe their loneliness and try to slake it, try to remedy it. But I thought for a moment, I'm like, oh, the monkey is an invisible non-Japanese worker in Japan, like an Indonesian worker or a Mozambican worker or somebody non-Japanese who can speak perfect Japanese and is courteous and can give a good back rub, can do all the things that are required of him in his station there. But it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor for a foreign worker in Japan. But then they got with that weird, and that my theory got thrown overboard when he's talking about how he thirsts after human women. Okay, good. He likes Japanese women. He's an Indonesian who likes Japanese. Okay, we still. So I steal their names. Oh, I don't get it anymore. I don't know. I don't understand the story now. I don't get it. That's who would attribute those powers to anybody, So it's like I don't. And again, just because I don't understand what a story, but it would be so much more. So when the narrator is in the actual spa, rubbing him like cooking in the hot bath, and the monkey comes in, an actual monkey with a red face comes in and starts saying, "Is everything okay?" Like in perfect human language.
It says human language, which is weird, and doesn't say Japanese. I thought that was kind of weird. No, it doesn't. It just says human language. It's weird. But and the monkey says he doesn't do this to anybody. So my question is, why does he pick this guy to come out to and just talk to naturally?
Without clothes. And then later on he's wearing clothes. Like I guess it's because they're all naked. Yeah, they're all naked. I forget. I haven't been to a sauna in so naked. Long I forgot. Was naked. But this idea that I think it would be way stranger if an actual Indonesian person opened the door. I think that the main character would have a harder time talking to the Indonesian than he would to a monkey. Like it's somehow even stranger to imagine an Indonesian sliding because it's just foreigners in those kinds of jobs, whether it's agriculture or factotum work,
those migrant
in
workers,
saunas and stuff. Yeah, they are so invisible. It's like, how would they even learn Japanese? No one would even talk to them.
Especially in Asia, right? There's thousands of migrant workers on Jeju, and you don't see them. You don't see them
at all. Remember one time I was driving my car with a young lady I was dating named Sungmi. You actually met her once or twice and we were just driving around the island. I had a car. We were driving around. It was a hot day. And we were in a village. We were driving through a village on the northeastern side of the island, which is pretty remote, right? I mean, it's pretty poor out there. And I got a little lost because I was taking these lanes, and the lane dead ended at a big tree, and underneath the tree was half a dozen Southeast Asian dudes. They could have been Khmer, they could have been Vietnamese. I'm not sure. Just half a dozen of them, just squatting under a tree in the middle of nowhere on a Saturday. No, it was Saturday or Sunday. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, here they are. This is, it's like, because you heard about that. You heard about, that agriculture is actually done in large part by foreign workers.
The world over.
The world over, of course, but even in Korea, that Koreans are so affluent they won't do that work. And I'm like, fuck, they're totally hidden. It would be more remarkable if the story had an Indonesian guy slide the door open and say, "Hey, is everything all right, sir?" Like in perfect, like pitch perfect Shinagawa accent. But it's not about that. It's about something else, and I don't know what the fucking thing is about. Is it about loneliness? Is it about like a particularly Japanese form of courtship, court where you steal a woman's identification. You memorize, like you said, memorize her name, and it kind of blinkers her a little bit. Like she's
That's a good way to put it.
And now she's walking around sometimes in a fog when she's contemplating her own name. And you get to do what with that? You get to just sit there with a warm belly? Like,
how does it satiate him?
I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
He holds it. He says he's got 7 names that do him right. And Murakami said in an interview about this story with the New Yorker, because each time they come up with a story in the New Yorker, they tend to do an interview with the writer. And he said that he goes into like university classrooms where they're talking about the meaning of his books. And he doesn't he's like, oh, I just wanted to write about a fucking talking monkey. And that's what I mean. Like, it's like a toy. Like, I used to write shit like this when I was when I started writing. Ooh, wouldn't it be interesting if there's a cafe that never closes, but there's no doors, and people sit there eat endless peanut butter sandwiches. Ah, ha, ha. Like, what the, like, why?
I don't know. Again, he has every right to do it. It's fine.
But why are we
more
reading
power,
it?
and he's, I don't know why we're reading it. I really don't know why we're reading it.
And then the people online,
and it's in the motherfucking New Yorker. And again, this sounds like sour grapes. I get it, and I'm not hating on Murakami because I'm jealous. Maybe only a little bit, but it's not. And I'm not hating on him. I what I've read of his, I've enjoyed. I just don't. I don't understand what, like, it's absurdism, at least with Beckett and Marquez, Garcia Marquez and everything. There was and Fuentes. There's a point. It's like an allegory. The stories are allegorical.
Yeah.
This one, it's literally a talking monkey with psychosomatic powers or something, and it's somewhere in there, I think, is a discussion of Japanese manhood, but I don't really understand. I think in there you can pull out Japanese manhood. Like, Japanese men sometimes are so career focused and strange that they'll. Well, my favorite detail in the story is when he's talking to the narrator is talking to the young lady who had her idea, who forgets her name briefly.
At the end, she's an editor of a magazine, I think. Yeah.
Is the monkey back at it? And the great detail I remember is that her purse got stolen, and then it got returned with everything in it but the ID card. And I just imagine her like, where'd my purse go? Where'd my purse go? Goes to the station. Here's your purse, but straight, all your cash is in there, and like the cop's kind of scratching his head a little bit. It's like, I don't know. There's just your ID card's gone. Oh, yeah. All right.
He is the favorite writer of so many people I know. A lot of, and I'm not gonna, like, you want to talk about censorship. I wonder if his popularity is this kind of like part of just fascination with Japan, part of this like almost, I hate this term, I'm too dumb to come up with another one, reverse racism. Oh, whimsical qualities about this and that and personifications and blah blah blah. Oh, this is great, like a reverse Orientalism that allows stuff like this to just fly when it's not good. I'm sorry, Murakami.
It's funny. It's just funny. It's actually a funny story. It's just this idea that there's this, like, imagine how when they're talking with each other, have a beer, and he's got sweatpants on and an I Love New York t-shirt. The monkey's got like I Love New York t-shirt. I just imagine like they're sitting, like the monkey is sitting Indian style in such a way that the bottoms of both feet are touching.
Right.
And he occasionally scratching his top of his head with his giant, exaggerated fingers.
His elongated,
Oh yes, I imagine he's speaking in a very bookish, like he studied at a university, because he was raised by a university professor. So I imagine he's talking in these very measured, like elitist university cadences. Like,
Yeah.
yes, I like to, as he pulls like a fucking, like a piece of lice off his head or something. Yes, I imagine that I'm actually morally reprehensible in doing the things that I do, but I can't seem to stop doing it. And it's like, fuck, this is a monkey. It's just hysterical. But I don't, yeah.
It's fun. Good for him.
God bless him for actually writing in an understandable manner. Like Gertrude Stein didn't even give us that toward the end. Like she just wrote,
this is
words
translation, by the way. It's in translation.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, of course. But thank God he's writing it, left to right or whatever. But, punctuation marks, which is more sometimes than Cormac McCarthy gives us.
Yeah.
Sometimes like, who the fuck is talking? Why isn't there a comma?
No time for quotation marks. Must keep going. Yeah, that's.
I love how he just hates commas. Like, what a thing to hate. Like, you can hate so many things and you hate commas. Like, fuck commas.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus Christ.
Am I off? Am I like being like idiotic to talk about I just don't see it. I don't understand. I don't get it. He seems like a great guy. Seems like he would be fun. I couldn't even think the story was that funny because I don't care.
Yeah, there really is no reason to care. There's no reason to care about the story. It's just because you kind of strung along a little bit. Like, is this going somewhere? I thought, like, is the monkey and the guy going to have sex? I'm like, is this where this is going? Is this, is the guy going to forget his fucking name? And again, the narrator doesn't ever give us his name. If
you're going to be absurd, just keep going with it. Just keep going. Right? Like that's I like this. The story of the
feeling
style.
A monkey finger in his butthole, he can just forget his name. Like, oh shit! Oh no, the monkey.
Or maybe he falls in love with the monkey, and he tries to take a piece of the monkey's name, but the monkey doesn't have any ID. So how is he supposed to take the part of the name? I don't know, man.
Unrequited monkey love. Oh man. I'm sure Murakami would get a kick out of that interpretation, by the way. I'm sure he would. That's very funny.
I'd like to talk to him. He seems like fun, and maybe I could like his work better. It reminds me of when we're in India.
I'd love it if we interviewed him and he goes, aren't you the two assholes who hate me? Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
We were in India for our honeymoon of sorts, and there's monkeys all over the place. And they're greedy as fuck. Like, they'll take the food right out of your hands and whatnot. And we're at a store. And on this door, there was a sign, a really crude painting of a monkey with a circle in it and a cross through it that said "No monkeys." And I looked at it, and I asked the shopkeeper, I'm like, "Monkeys can read?" Because and he's like, "Yes, monkeys read." Because why the fuck would you have a sign that said "No monkeys"? Like, a monkey goes, "Oh, Arasa, why is the monkey green?
I get it.
Why? Okay, this shop I am banned from. I get it." But that's me. I don't get it. I don't know why it's in the New Yorker. I like the style. Like, the narration reminds me of The Shop by Pushkin. It's the same sort of. I kind of like this narration where it's about the main character that it's about is not the narrator, and the narrator kind of interacts with the main character, and then there's a lapse of time, and then you meet somebody else who knows that character or had some interaction with him. I do like that style. Yeah. It's very.
This is like, speaking of Pushkin and 19th century Russian greats, this is very much Nikolai Gogol as well.
Yeah,
Gogol wrote a short story called The Nose, and there's a point in the story where a man loses his nose, and the nose is actually walking around disguised as a nobleman. This is written in the 1840s. I'm not kidding.
Look it up, everybody. Hilarious.
Gogol,
yeah.
Gogol, The Nose. It's anyway. The nose is actually. He's got a little. The nose has a mustache. I'm sorry, sir. You must be mistaken. It says. But yeah, Pushkin too. I mean, it's just. Obviously, there's literary antecedents here, but I don't. Yeah.
Maybe
whatever.
It's this thing that is full of all the meaning and what. I'm not going to read it. I spent like a lot. I'm not gonna read it.
Oh, come on. We owe it to him now. We're sending him up a little bit. Not that he would ever give a fuck, but.
Okay, I'll read this by next week. This
Oh,
will have been consumed. Ladies and gentlemen, that's been our boozing. Thank you for listening. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. We're everywhere, baby. Until next time, keep scribbling.
Oh my God. That was a good one.